Hakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Yoma Daf Chet Amud Aleph 8a1. Says the Gemara, Umat tzitz shem bo ela askara achat. Just like the tzitz only has one askara, but it says Kodesh LaHashem, which means that it only mentioned the name of Hashem once. Amrat Torah, the Torah still says Al mitzchot tamid, that it has to be on your metzach, on your forehead forever, which means Shelo yasiach dato bimenu, you're not supposed to have a sechadat from it. Tefillin sheyesh bahen askarot arbeh. Look how many names of Hashem do you have in the tefillin. Remember, the tefillin is comprised of 4 different parashiot, right? And in every single parasha, there's tons of time that it's written the name of Hashem. Alacha kama vechama, all the more so that you're not allowed to do a sechadat. And that's why, if you remember, we showed you yesterday that the Ish Matzliach and others, that they have what's called tefillin, what's written on the top, in order that you shouldn't forget, right, about the tefillin the entire time. Okay? Fine. Or Rabbi Shimon Daman, and according to Rabbi Shimon, that he says tamid miratzeh, that means it's not, right, you have to have it in mind the entire time, but it's tamid miratzeh, even if it's not going to be on the metzach. The active, it's written al metzach Aaron v'nasa et avon hakodashim. So what does he do with that pasuk, with that part of the pasuk, the reisha, not the seifa? Basically, each one was taking part of the pasuk and saying this is the ikar. So what are you going to say now? So he says, no. When it says that it's going to be on Metzach Aharon, and then it says V'nasa Aaron et Avon HaKodashim, there it was giving us a Mare Makom. Mare Makom means it's giving us where do you place it? Because where do you put the tzitz? Maybe you put the tzitz on your chin. Maybe you put it on the breastplate. Maybe you're going to put it on your arm. Maybe you're going to. How do I know that it goes on the Metzach? So it says in the pasuk V'yal Metzach Aaron, and then V'nasa Aaron et Avon HaKodashim v'chule v'chule. Right? That's why it's not. It's not that it's saying
they put the tefillin on the metzach.
No, the Karaim, they put the tefillin on Benenecha because it's written in the pasuk Benenecha, right? It says Benenecha. Yeah, mamash, right there, because it says Benenecha. So we learned that Benenecha is where the child's where the moach of the child is right, is very soft, which is here, and that's still Benenecha. You understand? But they learned that it's mamash Benenecha, so they put it right here. What's the problem? By the way, you should know there's a lot of Me'aratzot that until today they put the tefillin here. I've seen a lot of them, and they come here. Yeah, and there's a lot of them. They do a mamash and they put it here, and you have to tell them, no.
You fix it and they put it back in.
Yeah,
you know that one?
Yeah, it's famous, but that's just what can we do? Fine. So according to the Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, how do you know where to be kovea makom? Where do you know where the tzitz is supposed to go? So answers the Gemara, nafkale me'al mitzcho. So it says from al mitzcho, because it says in the end of the pasuk, al mitzcho, which means if you have the pasuk there, no, it's not on the stuff, it's on the previous stuff. Here it is. Ve'ayal metzach aharon v'nasa aron tavon hakodashim asher kedushu v'nisel lechol matanot shehem ve'ayal mitzcho. So it says twice metzach. So he says, he learns it from the Sefer where it says ve'ayal mitzcho. So he doesn't learn it from the Reisha Ve'ayal Metzach Aaron, but from the last one where it says Manenu Makom. Rabbi Shimon Nami Tepikul Emal Mitzcho. So ask the Gemara, why does it say twice Al Mitzcho, meaning Al Metzach, according to Rabbi Shimon, right? So he comes and he says, Inachanami, you're right. Ela Al Metzach Aaron V'Nasar, right? He says, Mayavile. Amalecha Hara'ui La Metzach Meratzeh. If the tzitz is fitting to put on the Metzach, it's miratzeh. She'eno ra'ui lemetzach, but if it's not fitting to the metzach, to put on the metzach, eno miratzeh, it's not going to be miratzeh. Le'apuke comes to exclude, nishbaratzi, if it broke. Because if it broke, you can't put it on the forehead anymore. So if it broke and you can't put it on the forehead, lo miratzeh, it's not going to be miratzeh. Okay? What? This is the seats. So you see that this is the head plate. Yeah, and then this is the straps which go around, and this goes on the forehead. Okay, this is the back of the art scroll. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda nishvar tzitz minale. According to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, how do we know if the tzitz breaks? How do we know that it's not going to be miratzeh? So answers the Gemara, nafkale. He learns it metzach mitzcho, which means from the fact that there's an extra vav, because it says metzach, and then it says mitzcho, his forehead. So the extra vav on metzach is showing that only if it's going to be ra'ui lemitzcho, then it's going to be miratzeh, but if not, not. And according to Rabbi Shimon, what does he make a dirasha with the extra vav? Answers the Gemara, metzach mitzcho lo mashmaleh. Not because you have an extra vav that I said metzach mitzcho, I'm going to start now making dirashot and making all these nice things coming out. You understand? He doesn't hold of it, not because of that. So says the Gemara, why don't we say that this machloket tanaim between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon that we just said, whether Tuma is hutra betzibur or dechuya betzibur, is another machloket tanaim. The Tanya was going to the Braita. Whether it's the Kohen which is soref et paraduma, the Kohen that is burning the paraduma, or the Kohen Gadol which is serving on Yom Kippurim, that you have to separate them for 7 days. Mazina lav kol shiva mikol chatat. They have to start sprinkling on him from all the 7 days, from all the effet of the chataot, which are all the paradumot, shayusham from that were there from the beginning, which means from Moshe Rabbeinu until that time, they always had leftovers of the effet of the paraduma. And they had to sprinkle him from a little bit from each one, from every single day. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yosef says, it's not every single day. It's only the 3rd day and the 7th day, which that's the regular halachot of paraduma. The regular halachot of paraduma for a person that's a memet, you don't sprinkle him every single day. You do it the 3rd day and the 7th day. If you remember, we once brought down, my father-in-law once showed me a Keren Yoshua, I think it was called. It's a Musar Sefer. That basically there he says that the entire concept was to hint to us that when you want to purify yourself, you never do it in one shot. There's always steps. You have to go up. So basically you start the teshuvah process. Then day 3, I purify you a little bit. Then day 7, I come again and until I finish the process. You understand? But basically it's never a one shot. You understand? And the same thing goes vice versa. When you're becoming tameh, the same thing is the same way when the person that's sprinkling as well. So he says you're going to do the 3rd day and the 7th day. He says no, there's a difference. The Kohen that he's burning the paraduma, you're going to do it every single day of the 7th. But Kohen Gadol, he does it only the 3rd day and the 7th day. So is that not the machloka between them? The Bimi holds Tuma dechuya tzibur. Tuma is actually pushed off at tzibur, and therefore you have to do it b'tara as much as you can. And we're going to suspect maybe the Kohen became tamemet in one of the days before, right? He separated from his house, and therefore we're going to start sprinkling upon him the paraduma in order to purify him. So because of that, they're going to do it all 7 days, because it's a mitzvah that he should come with tara bizmana on the 3rd day and the 7th day. And since we don't know which one is it, so you do every single day, and every single one of the days of the Prisha Rishonim, we have a doubt whether it's the 3rd or the 7th day. Rabbi Yosef says no. Tuma heter betzibur. Tuma was hutra betzibur, so we don't have to suspect that he became tameh. But even if he did become tameh, I don't care. He's still allowed to serve. So because of that, we only do it the 3rd and the 7th day, and there's no problem. Yeah, everyone understood the machloket. One more time. We have a machloket, or we're trying to make a machloket between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yosef. Okay, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Meir. Right? What's the machloket between them? We wanted to say that the same machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, Tuma hutra betzibur or dechuya betzibur, is the same machloket between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yosef. What is the machloket between them? Right? If right now the Kohen Gadol became tameh before separating, so when are we supposed to be tameh met? So when are we supposed to sprinkle him? On the 3rd day and 7th day. Every single day, I don't know when's the 3rd day and 7th day. So because of that, according to every single day, you're going to have to sprinkle him just in case it's the 3rd and 7th day. Why? Tuma dechuya betzibur. Dechuya means it was pushed off. But lechatchila tried to do a beter, right? Because it was only dechuya. Dechuya just means it's pushed off, but not that it's mamash mutar. But according to Rabbi Yosef, right? I don't care, because even if he was 100% tameh beforehand, Tuma was hutra betzibur. So if it was hutra betzibur, I don't care. Therefore, I only do it on the 3rd day and the 7th day. Okay? So says the Gemara, v'tisbra. Is it logical to say such a thing? Isavar Rabbi Yosef, you're going to tell me hutra right heteru betzibur hazak lalamet. What do we have to sprinkle at all? If you're going to tell me right now that it's hutra betzibur, why do you have to do hazah? Hazah means you're sprinkling. Why do you have to sprinkle at all? You don't have to do anything. Tuma hutra betzibur. So ela rather, according to everybody, these two tanaim, whether it's Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yosef, both hold tuma dechuya betzibur. So here, what is the machlok between them? Rabbi Meir savar amrin tvila bizmana mitzvah. According to Shittat Rabbi Meir, tvila bizmana is a mitzvah, meaning that you have to go to do the tevilah, to dip in the mikveh in the proper time. That's called the mitzvah. According to Rabbi Yosef, he says, lo amrin tvila bizmana mitzvah. We don't say that tvila bizmana is a mitzvah. V'savar Rabbi Yosef lo amrinan. Do you think that Rabbi Yosef doesn't say that tvila bizmana mitzvah? That time we learned in a braita. Haresha Yashem katuva besaro. Imagine the name of Hashem is written on somebody's flesh, and it's a sul lemoko. Hareze lo yirchatz. right? Velo yasuch. He's not allowed to wash himself, or he's not allowed to anoint himself. Lo yamov b'mkom hatinofet. He's not allowed to stand in a place which is dirty because of the kedusha of the name of Hashem. Nizamna lo tvila shemitzvah. What happens now if he has to do tvila? Korech alav gemi. He's going to put a gemi on it. It's like a reed. Betovel, and then he does tvila. Rabbi Yosef says, no, you're betovel kedarko. Even without that, he's not allowed to scrub it. The kamelan we paskin. Tvila bizmana kamipalget. The machlok was tvila bizmana. Tana kama savar lo tvila bizmana mitzvah, but Tana kama holds that we don't say tvila bizmana mitzvah. And Rabbi Yosef says we do say tvila bizmana mitzvah. Like that it is a tvila bizmana mitzvah. Okay. So he says ela, but rather. But rather, according to all these Tanaim, we are going to say Tvila b'zman mitzvah. So what is the machlok between them? Rabbi Meir savar makshin and hazah l'tvila. That we make a hekesh, a juxtaposition between hazah and tvila. Hazah means to sprinkle, and the tvila is the tvila b'zmana, that it is a mitzvah. So therefore, you have to be mazeh ala kohen all the 7 days, because every single day that he's doing the hazah, right? Rabbi Yosef savar, Rabbi Yosef holds no makshin. We don't make a hekesh between the hazah and tvila. So even though tvila bizmana mitzvah, hazah bizmana is not a mitzvah. So therefore, if it's not a mitzvah, so therefore you don't have to do a davka on the 3rd and 7th day. Meaning, if I say tvila bizmana mitzvah and also the hazah bizmana mitzvah, so if we're just like the tvila bizmana is a mitzvah, so to hazah bizmana is a mitzvah. But if you're going to tell me it's not bizmana, meaning that I don't care if it's bizmana or not, so then I don't have to do it specifically in the 3rd and 7th. It could be on the 4th and 8th. It could be on the 3rd and the 2nd and the 5th. I don't know what it is. I mean that it's not me'akev which day it is, as long as you're having all those days. Okay? Rabbi Chanina Segan HaKohanim, right? And according to Shitat Rabbi Chanina Segan HaKohanim, im akish hazah letvila afilu kohen b'yom kippurim nami. If you're going to make a hekesh on a hazah to tvila, so then even your kohen on Yom Kippur, right? Also, they would sprinkle upon him, right? All the 7 days because of that. And if you're not going to make a hekesh hazah letvila, so then afilu kohen tzaref et hapara nami lo. So even if the kohen which is burning the paraduma also no, they're not going to do it. Right? So basically the question is, are you making the hekesh or you're not making the hekesh? So says the Gemara, le'olam lo makish. Really, be'emet, he's not making a hekesh. The kohen hatzoref et hapara, right? It's just it's a ma'ala. We're doing it like you know what a ma'ala? Zama ma'ala. How do you say ma'ala? It's a you're doing like an extra stringency. It's a high level. You understand? That's what you're doing. You're doing like a stringency of a high level. Okay? Fine. So how does it go like this, that which the rabbis taught? There's no difference between the kohen which is burning the paraduma or the kohen on Yom Kippur. Ella, but rather, says Amubet, Chet Amubet, Sheze Prishato Ligdusha, right? Ve'echav HaKohanim nogim bo, that the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur, right? It's with kedusha, which means he goes into Yom Kippur, into the Kodesh HaKodashim, right? So therefore it's Machaneh Shekhinah. And therefore they separate him from all the other people, right? But it's not because of Tumah. Ve'echav HaKohanim nogim bo, right? And the right, they could actually come and they could touch him. Ve'zeh prishato l'tahara, but there it's for tahara, not for kedusha. It's for tahara, for purity. Ve'echav HaKohanim nogim bo. So they're not going to touch him, right? Because maybe they're going to impurify him. So Keman, who does that go like? Or Rabbi Meir, or Rabbi Yosef. It obviously has to go like obviously or Rabbi Meir, or like Rabbi Yosef. Right, there's no difference between the hazaot during the pre-shav of the kohen serves the parah or kohen gadol b'yom kippurim. Dira v'chanina sagana kohanim was if you're going to tell me chanina sagana kohanim, haikana miha. You said there's also a difference between that. That the kohen which is serves the parah, they're going to sprinkle him every single day, and the kohen gadol b'yom kippurim, they're only going to sprinkle him on the 3rd and the 7th day. Okay, so therefore it has to be like Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yosef, not like v'chanina sagana kohanim. Says the Gemara, matkif la Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, as Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina. Yeah, Bishlema, it's going to be good Rishon, Shema Shlishi, Sheni, Shema Shlishi, Shlishi, Shema Shlishi, Chamishi, Shema Shvi'i, right? Shishi, Shema Shvi'i, Shvi'i, Shema Shvi'i. Everyone understood? One more time. It's good that you would have to sprinkle him on the 1st day. Why in the 1st day? Because maybe the 1st day when he's separating, maybe that's the 3rd day when he became Tameh. 2nd day, it's also maybe it's the 3rd day that he was a Tameh. 3rd day, also maybe it's going to be the 3rd day. That's what he says here. Shlishi, right? He says Shema Shlishi letumato. Okay, but now let's try to understand now. The 5th day. The 5th day is because maybe it's a 7th. 6th day, maybe it's a 7th, and 7th because maybe it's a 7th, and it became Tameh right when he started. But the 4th day, why does he need hazah? Meaning, according to calculations, it just doesn't make sense, the number 4. One more time. First day, they come, they're going to sprinkle him. Maybe it's a third day. Yeah, second day, maybe it's a third day. Third day, maybe it's a third day. Fourth day cannot be the third day because they already watched him on the first day. So therefore, the fourth day cannot be the third day. So the fourth day is not the third. Now let's continue. Fifth day, right? Fifth day, yeah, but the sixth day you don't have to sprinkle, right? Fifth day, sprinkle him, but maybe it's a seventh day. Sixth, maybe the seventh. Seven, maybe the seventh. And then at the beginning. But now, why do you have to need the fourth? So says the Gemara, right? I cannot make a safek on the third day because you already separated him 3 days beforehand. And it can't be the seventh day either. So then why do you need the fourth day? So says the Gemara, and according to you, do you really need also all 7? We paskin, Tazah is a shvut. Ve'eno dochet Shabbat. Hazah is it's a drabanan, which means Hazah mechatat on a tamemet is a sur midrabanan because of shvut. Okay, so if it's going to be mishum shvut, so it comes out here. He says, so you can't do it all the 7 days, but you don't do it on Shabbat. You don't do shvut on Shabbat. But what are you going to say, really? Shiva levar mi Shabbat. You have to do it all 7 days except for Shabbat. So hachanami. So to here, you're doing all 7 days except for the 4th day. Meaning, if you're already saying it's 7 minus 1 because of Shabbat, so I'm going to say it's 7 minus 1, which is the 4th day. So Rava says, Hilkach therefore, Kohen Gadol Kuprim de lo b'didam tal yaminta. So Kohen Gadol on Kippur, that it has nothing to do with us, Ela b'kviyat diyarcha tal yaminta, that everything has to do with the Rosh Chodesh, when they're going to make it. Betlata b'tishri by lefrushi, you always have to separate them on the 3rd of Tishri. V'chol ema demitra betlata b'tishri, so it doesn't matter which day of the week, it's going to be the 3rd day of Tishri, you always separate him. So therefore, no matter what, right, it comes out that the Yom HaRevi'i will never be on the Shabbat, right? So there's always going to be 2 times, right? Because it's all, that's what it says here. Why exactly? Let's see over here. He says, שרים נמצאו אחד משלושה ימים ראשונים שלו בשבת, לא היזו באותו יום, אם כן אין סיבה להזות 4 ימים אחר כך, שאין הזעה מתארת, אם כן ישנה 4 ימים בין הזעה להזעה. That means you always need a minimum of 4 days in between the hazaot. So it comes out that if you're going to have one of the first 3 days, right? אם נמצא אחד משלושה ימים האחרונים שלו בשבת, so then you don't have to do it, 4 ימים לפניו. Yeah, you understood? You need a minimum of, we're always doing 3 and 7. So you always have a minimum of 4 days in between. Okay, but you're doing number 3 and number 7. Now, it doesn't help is if you're going to have a case where one of those days is going to be on Shabbat. One of the first 3 days is going to be on Shabbat. Mm-hmm. So we just said that you don't do the Azah. If you don't do the Azah, you lost out now on the later. Why? Because if you didn't do Azah, let's say it was the first day, which came out on Shabbat, or second day that came out on Shabbat, or third day that came out on Shabbat. That day you didn't do Azah. If you didn't do that Azah on that day, so it doesn't help to do the Azah 4 days later. Because basically you lost out on the 3rd and the 7th, correct? You always have to have 3 and 7. There always have to be 4 days in between. So if you couldn't have done the first day because of Shabbat, or second day because of Shabbat, third day because of Shabbat, so then you lost out also later on also, right? So he says, Amar Rava says, Hilkach therefore, Kohen Gadol Yom Kippurim, you're going to do it בתתתה בתשרי בלפרושה, וכל יום בתתתה בתשרי מפרשין עליה. אבל כהן השורף את הפרה דוד דידן תמיד, but the כהן השורף את הפרה is תלוי in us and not to do with the month. מפרשין עליה ברביעי שבוע. We're always going to separate him on Wednesday. כי איך דנתרם אל הרביעי שלו בשבת, in order that רביעי always comes out on Shabbat. So we do a 2 for 1. One more time. 2 for 1. What's a 2 for 1? Number 1, that we don't do it on the 4th day. Because the 4th day cannot be the 3rd, and it cannot be the 7th. Correct? So we don't do the 4th day. Plus, we don't do on Shabbat. So, if you're going to burn the paraduma, we purposely separate the Kohen that's burning the paraduma on Wednesday. Because then you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's 3 days. The 4th day is Shabbat. Anyway, you don't do it on Shabbat. And anyway, you don't do it on the 4th day. So you do 2 for 1. And then you do again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, which is 5, 6, and 7. Capish? But that you could do because it's a Kohen Gadol, it's a Kohen which is sort of the para. So it's dependent upon us. When are we going to burn the paraduma? But the Kippur has nothing to do with us. It's always Gimel B'Tishri. Tzom Gedalia. It's always Gimel B'Tishri. So whenever it's Gimel B'Tishri comes out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is. You understand? So that's all that. No, so then we have no choice because then it's going to be in the fourth day they're not going to do it, and on the Shabbat it's not going to do it.
Right. And if you do the calculation, it's about 50% off.
What do you mean 50%?
Then it will be on Shabbat.
No.
Why 50%? It's 1 day. It's 1 day.
Again.
I don't know.
No. Maybe not 50. No.
So Kakadosh, we're by the 2 dots, yeah? By where it says that the Mishnah spoke about that we were going to separate the Kohen Gadol from his house and we're going to put him in Lishkat Paredrin. Tanya, we learned on right. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda. V'chi Lishkat Paredrin hayita. He says what? This was Lishkat Paredrin. That's what it was called, right? That was meaning the name was called Lishkat Paredrin because Lishka, it's a Lishkat Pekidei HaMelech. It's like that's what Rashi says. But Rashi says that it's a word in Greek. Paredrin is in Greek. So he says, what, you really think it's, Pekidei HaMelech, like the officers of the king? V'alo Lishkat Belavte hayita. It was called Lishkat Belavte. Lavte are Sarim Nichbadim. Right? This is also Yivanit. That means basically, Chochmei HaEtzah. So basically the question is, what was the real name for it? Was it like, Pekidei HaMelech or Sarim Nichbadim? Ela, but rather, Batchila at the beginning, during the days of Shimon HaTzadik, that he was Kohen Gadol and he had a long life, because remember, he was Kohen Gadol for 40 years. Hayu koronita Lishkat Belavte. Lashon Kavod. Why? Because the Kohanim Gadolim were Chashuvim Mechubadim. Umitoch shenotrim alav mamon lekiuna, right? But once they started giving money during the second Bet HaMikdash to become Kohanim Gadolim, this was at the end of the, especially from the time of the Malchut Bet Chashmonai and all those things. Umachlifin ota kol 12 chodesh, and then they had to switch it every single 12 months, right? Every single 12 months they had to switch it. So therefore, what happened? So then it was keparedin and lanu shemachlifim ota kol. So then it was like these ministers that they changed them every single 12 months. Therefore, you couldn't tell Lishka Paredin. They used to call them Lishka Paredrin because basically what used to happen is that they used to come and they used to destroy it and build a new one every single one time. It was like like every single time a new president comes into the White House, they redo the entire the structure of the White House, the decorations of this, each one according to his taste. The exact same thing. The exact same thing. Yeah. So imagine every single year they had a new Kohen Gadol, right? But they would never finish the year. So if every single year they had a new Kohen Gadol, every year they were destroying it and picking. So then they changed the name. It wasn't Lishka Belavte anymore. It was Lishka Paredrin. It was like every single year was a new guy. You already know it was a new guy every single year, right? Which was actually incredible. Because think about it. The people, they were going in knowing that they're going to die. But you know what the secret is? No, I don't know if it's they didn't care. Sometimes they didn't care, or sometimes it's just the kavod is so strong. Right? What we spoke about on Sudash Lishit. The kavod is so strong that it doesn't matter. It's like signing the death sentence. Yeah, the guys know. Chazaka, every single year a Kohen Gadol is dying. You don't realize that you're paying to die?
How many years?
That's why it's written, Mosim et Adam min ha'olam.
Yeah, exactly.
Takes it out completely.
That was our Sudash Lishit, what we spoke about. Sudash Lishit. We had an entire shiur. Yeah, on kavod. Giving kavod and running away from kavod and the entire concept of kavod. But that's what it is. Think about it. Does it make sense? What happened?
No. אומרים שרוצים לקרוא.
Gemara. Tanan Hatam, we also learned over there in the Mishnah, the Mayan Achtomin. These are the ones that they're baking bread to sell in the shuk from kemach, which was done of demai. Demai, remember, is from an ala'aret, so we suspect that maybe he didn't take off masrot. Lo chivu otan chachamim lafrish. They didn't obligate him to separate all the trumot masrot and the trumat maaser v'chala. Only trumat maaser and chala they're obligated to give, right? That means they're obligated to give the batzek in order to come and to do that. They're going to be chayavim, right? Now, why? That's a good question. Why exactly? Let me just check. Okay, so a baker, that's a nachtom, right? They are coming, they are baking. So now, usually the mai means that we have a safek. So usually we would try to obligate you to take off all the trumot maaserot, which already starts from truma gdola, maaser, right? Maaser rishon, right? That's maaser. Trumat maaser, and then you would have here. We tell them and say no, you only have to take off trumat maaser. Okay, that's number one. Number two, also chala. Now remember, chala had nothing to do with the mai. Because when you buy the mai, you're not obligated chala. Chala is only after you make the bread. So that's why he's obligated to make the bread. So that's the Gemara. Bishma truma gdola lo. I understand that you don't have to separate truma gdola. The time was we learned in a braita, right? Teta mudalef on the top. Lepi shalach bechol gvulei Yisrael, because they sent, right? Shlichim in all gvulei Yisrael. V'ra'ah she'em afshin letruma gdola bivat. That means they always took out truma gdola. So that means everybody took off Truma Gdola. Remember, Truma Gdola, right, was such a small amount. It was 124, 150, whatever. So basically, it was so everyone took off Truma Gdola. So therefore, they never instituted that even if you bought it from an Amaretz, he took off Truma Gdola. So you don't have to do that. I understand. Also, Maaser Rishon Maaser Ani. Why not? Because you have to bring a proof that he didn't take it off. So if you have to bring a proof he didn't take it off, so then it says he doesn't have to take it off because it's a money matter. He says, why don't you take off Maaser Sheni? Right? Maaser Sheni just means that you separate it, and then you have to eat it in Yerushalayim. So eat it in Yerushalayim. So answers the Gemara, since these Pigdei Malchut, they come and they hit them, right? Every single year, they used to be new ones. So they used to tell them, Michru bezol, right? You have to sell it cheap. So lot ruchud rabbanan, which means that these guys, that's why we're using the same lashon of parhedrin. These guys, every single year, used to make people new police officers, right? Very interesting. That takes away from a lot from the from corruption and all these things, because every single year it's new ones. So ever since it's new ones every single year, they would start hitting them, telling them, you guys have to sell cheaper. You guys are selling too expensive. So because of that, the people that were selling the bakers, they hardly made parnasah, because every single time they were getting beaten up that they had to sell it for a cheap price. They were never able to have high prices. So because of that, they didn't want to make them a tircha, that they had to come and bring everything to it, to Yerushalayim, to eat it there. So for Maaser Sheni, they didn't obligate them. And that's the reason why they didn't obligate them in Maaser Sheni. My paredrin purse. What are paredrin purse? And we continue tomorrow.